The most common problem I hear these days, and I'm sure you guys do as well, is this feeling of being permanently tired. Sometimes I feel like you just wake up tired every single day, which makes no sense at all, and you can't feel energized so that you can thrive through your day and live your life with energy. This fatigue is something that you would expect to happen to you if you were like 68 years old, but it's happening to a huge amount of young people who are supposed to have this youthful energy to them, who are supposed to thrive at 20 and 30 years old, but they find themselves operating in life with a sluggishness and dread. The first thing I tackled was my addiction to caffeine. Now, caffeine is one of those things that people think they understand, but most of us are actually using it wrong. You've probably heard that caffeine lasts in your system for about 5 to 7 hours, right? So you think, okay, I'll just avoid coffee after 3 p.m. and I'll be fine. The thing is though, caffeine doesn't just disappear after 5 to 7 hours. It has something called a half-life, which means that after 5 to 7 hours, only half of it is gone. The other half? Yeah, it's still hanging out in your system, messing with your sleep like an uninvited guest who won't leave the party. Let me break it down for you. Say you have a cup of coffee at 4 p.m. Totally normal, right? By 11 p.m., half of that caffeine is still in your system, and by 5 a.m., a quarter of it is still there. That's right, while you're tossing and turning, trying to get some deep restoring sleep, your body's still processing that 4 p.m. latte. And deep sleep? That's when your brain does all the important stuff, like forming deep memories, processing information, and repairing the body. But if you're full of caffeine, your brain's like, nah, let's just stay awake and think about the embarrassing thing we did back in 2022. It's far from ideal. So, here's the simple fix. Stop drinking coffee after 12 p.m. Yeah, I know, it sounds brutal, but trust me, it's worth it. I used to be the guy who'd slam an espresso at 4 p.m. and then wonder why I couldn't fall asleep until 3 a.m. Now, I have my morning coffee, maybe a second cup around 10 a.m. if I'm feeling fancy, and that's it. No caffeine after lunch. And yeah, I still get the afternoon crash. Welcome to the life of a caffeine addict. But at least when I hit the pillow at night, I'm actually able to sleep. So do yourself a favor, cut off the caffeine by noon. Your future self will thank you. And on the topic of sleep, I'm not just gonna tell you to get 8 hours of it because, let's be real, you already know that. The problem is, you're probably not actually getting 8 hours. Why? Because 8 hours of sleep doesn't mean 8 hours in bed. If you're like me, you spend at least 30 minutes lying there, wondering why your brain chose now to replay every awkward conversation you've ever had. So, here's the deal. If you want to actually get 8 hours of sleep, you need to give yourself more than 8 hours in bed. I call this sleep opportunity. For me, it takes about 30 to 45 minutes to fall asleep. So, if I want to get 8 hours of sleep, I need to be in bed for at least 8.5 hours. It sounds like a lot, but think of it. If you're chronically tired, it's probably because you've been running on a sleep deficit for weeks, months, or even years. And the only way to fix that is to give your body the chance to catch up. And that's the thing with sleep. Its benefits are constantly growing. If you start giving yourself more sleep opportunities every night, your baseline energy levels will slowly start to rise and rise. It's like paying off a debt, except instead of money, you're paying off sleep. And trust me, your body will thank you. So, if you're serious about not feeling like a zombie all the time, start by giving yourself more time in bed. Aim for 8.5 to 9 hours of sleep every night. And no, scrolling through your phone in bed doesn't count. But we'll get to that in a minute. First, I want to talk to you about your body's internal clock, or what's called the circadian rhythm. Sounds fancy, right? But here's the thing, your circadian rhythm is basically just your brain's way of figuring out when it's daytime and when it's nighttime. And guess what? It's not just about the sun anymore. Thanks to modern life, your brain is getting mixed signals all the time. You're probably scrolling through your Instagram in bed, wondering why you can't fall asleep. Spoiler alert, your brain thinks it's daytime. Why? Because of all that blue light from your phone, laptop, and TV. Blue light tricks your brain into thinking it's time to be awake, which means it's not producing enough melatonin, the hormone that tells your body it's time to sleep. So, here's the fix. Stop looking at screens at least an hour before bed, and resist the urge you will have to scroll once you're in bed, like I mentioned before. I know, it's easier said than done, but trust me, it makes a huge difference. I used to be the guy who watched Netflix in bed until my eyes started closing on their own. Now I have a hard cutoff at 9 p.m. No screens, no exceptions. I found that reading a book for an hour in bed before I put my head down to sleep really helps. I'm doing something productive, because that's what reading is, right? There's no blue light, and there's no worries. I'm asleep within half an hour every time. It hasn't failed me yet. Another thing that's helping me fix my circadian rhythm is by making my room darker. I'm not talking about just closing the curtains. I'm talking about full-on cave mode. I pinned a black blanket over my windows because, well, I'm a barbarian with no sense of interior design. But it works. When it's 6 a.m. and the sun's starting to rise, I don't want all that light blasting into my room, waking me up. I want it to feel like midnight so I can stay in real deep sleep for as long as possible. So if you're serious about fixing your sleep, make your room as dark as it can be. Your brain will thank you. Oh, and one last thing. Breathe through your nose. I know that sounds random, but hear me out. I used to be a chronic mouth breather at night, and it messed with my sleep big time. Turns out, breathing through your nose is way better for you. It lessens the chance of snoring and reduces the chance of sleep apnea, which is basically when your breathing stops and starts while you sleep, preventing that beautiful rhythm your brain needs. As with all things in life, there's more to a good night's sleep than meets the eye, because the next thing I want to talk to you about is absolutely crucial. And unfortunately for you, that's good old exercise. Now, I know what you're thinking. Jeff, I'm already tired. How is exercising supposed to help? Shouldn't I be saving my energy? And trust me, I used to think the same way. But here's the weird part. The more you move your body, the more energy you actually have. It's like some kind of sick joke, spending energy to get energy. But it's true. People who are regularly active have a higher baseline of energy to work with. It's almost like the universe has this golden rule. That which costeth energy giveth energy. I should put that on a t-shirt. Now, again, I know what you're thinking. Jeff, I'm not a gym person. I don't have time to lift weights and run marathons. And hey, that's fine. You don't have to be. I'm not saying you need to become a fitness guru overnight, because the thing is, even small movements can make a big difference. I used to spend most of my days sitting on my butt, editing videos, writing scripts, and generally being a couch potato. And guess what? It was draining my energy. So I made a simple tweak. I started taking my fat puppy dog for short walks every day, just 10 or 15 minutes. And you know what? He hated it. LOL, sucks to be him. But for me, it helped a lot. Another thing I did was get a standing desk. Yeah, I know, it sounds like one of those pretentious productivity hacks, but hear me out. When you're standing, your body kind of wakes up. It's like, oh, we're doing something. Cool. Here's some energy. It's not a magic fix, but it helps. And if you're not ready to commit to a standing desk, just try getting up from your chair every hour. Walk around for a few minutes. Stretch. Do a little dance if you're feeling weird. The point is, move your body. You don't have to go full Shakira mode, but you do have to get off your couch. Here's the bottom line. If you're always tired, moving your body might feel like the last thing you want to do, but it's one of the best things you can do. Start small. Take a walk, stand up every now and then, and your body will thank you. You might just find yourself feeling a little less like a zombie and a little more like a human being. All this talk about exercise has made me hungry, but sadly, I actually need to think properly about what I'm going to eat if I don't want to be miserably tired. The reason for that is because your diet makes a massive difference. Sorry guys and gals. The good thing though is that I'm not going to sit here and tell you to go full paleo or cut out gluten or whatever the latest trend is, because the truth is, diet is complicated. It's super genetically dependent, and what works for one person might not work for another. In saying that, there are some basic rules that pretty much everyone can follow. And no, I'm not talking about kale smoothies or eating nothing but raw vegetables, thank goodness. I'm talking about the basics. Avoid packaged food, cut back on sugar, and drink enough water. That's it. You don't need to overthink it. And don't get me wrong, because I get it. When you're exhausted, the last thing you want to do is cook a healthy meal. But the thing is, what you eat directly affects your energy levels. If you're living off instant ramen and energy drinks, your body's basically running on fumes. It's like trying to drive a car with no gas. It's not going to work. So, even if you're not ready to overhaul your entire diet, start small. Swap out the packaged snacks for something real, like fruits or nuts. Cut back on the sugary drinks. Drink more water, or homemade iced tea or something. It's not rocket science, but it works. The bottom line is that diet isn't the only factor when it comes to energy, but it's a big one. And the good news is, you don't have to be perfect. Just make a few small changes, and you'll start to notice a difference. And hey, if you really want to feel like a superhero, combine a decent diet with good sleep and regular exercise. It's like the trifecta of not feeling like a zombie. Trust me, your future self will appreciate it. Alright, let's recap. If you're always miserably tired, it's probably because you're misusing caffeine, not giving yourself enough sleep opportunity, messing up your circadian rhythm, sitting around too much, or eating like a raccoon in a dumpster. But the good news is, you can fix it. Start by cutting off caffeine by noon. Give yourself more time in bed, make your room darker, move your body every day, and eat real food. It's not about being perfect, it's about making small, consistent changes that add up over time. And hey, if you're still feeling like a zombie after all that, don't beat yourself up. Progress takes time. Just keep at it, and eventually, you'll start feeling more like a human and less like a walking corpse. If you found this video helpful, hit that like button, subscribe, and let me know in the comments what's been draining your energy the most. Thanks for watching, and remember, small changes lead to big results. See you next time.